I was born on the streets. I survived in the streets. My whole life was a gamble. So we threw bones on the streets. No love at home, so we found love in the streets. Love from my brothers who had the same struggle in these streets. I think my pop was a creep because he crept away. Leaving a young boy in the hood to find his way with no map, no compass, how could I find my way? Days are dark, but I don't care to see the light of day. I want blood money. I'm like a vampire on this block. I'm dodging bullets every day. It's rapid fire on this block. But I don't care if I get shot. I feel like shooting myself. You see, I used to flirt with death until I started feeling myself. Got 2 Macs on the shelf and an abundance of wealth. You know, cash is like vitamins in the hood. It betters your health. Now I'm deep in these streets, and I got a crew with me. We all sick in these streets. Man, they got the flu with me. Look death in the eyes and ask him what he want with me. You could take me or leave me. I never fear what confronts me. But that was just a blunt, see? Most got heart when they waste it. That's why they drink 151 with a cranberry to chase it. Never could face life in a sober state of mind, so we drink liquor and smoke weed until we out of our minds. Do a buck down the street driving you out of your mind, commit a crime so heinous? You think we out of our minds like when we click, clack, pull back, blowing you out of your mind. 16,000 murders in America. America is out of their minds. So they make laws and new jails to lock us out of our mind because most don't see it until they run out of time. Like Stanley Tookie Williams, 25 years confined. No mercy or redemption couldn't save him combined. He went from gang war to mentor, hell gates to heaven doors, street talk with metaphors. Poetry is winning this mental war. So I'm going to spit it until I air my last breath. This is my birth, my life, my freedom, my death. I was raised in the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. But in some places, there was no love at all. I lived in a single-parent household, mother, 4 sisters. As a kid, I watched my mother struggle to take care of 5 children on her own. And me being the only boy, I always wanted to do something to help her. Watching her work job to job to keep food on the table and the heat and electric on. Then seeing her going through bad relationships. As a young kid, I wishing I could call my father to help out. But I had no contact number for him. As I grew older, at the age of 13, one day I was sitting in my room. And I heard my mother and her boyfriend get into an argument. And the voices was raised. So it grabbed my attention. I looked towards her room, and I heard like a slap, and I got up and I ran into her room. I seen them 2 fighting. I jumped on a man's back and started punching. Get up my mother, get up my mother, get up my mother. He threw me to the ground. Boom. Looked at me and said, you think you're a man now? You think you're a man? I said, yeah, I'm a man. He said, come on outside then. I'll show you what a man is. I said, all right. I went and grabbed my sneakers. So I tied my shoes up. My mom said, don't go out there, boy, don't go out there. I don't want him to hurt you. I said, Mom, I gotta go. Just tying my shoes up. I ran outside to the front door. He grabbed me by my chest, threw me against the wall, pulled out his .38 Dillinger that he always carried, pointed it 12 inches away from my face, and said, don't you ever jump into a fight with me and your mother again. I stared at him. I stared down the barrel of the gun. I didn't jump. I didn't flinch. I didn't move. His mouth was moving. I couldn't hear a word he said. I blacked out. All I could hear was that inner voice telling me, he gonna pull a gun out on a kid? He's a chump. Kill him when you get older. I said, yeah, I'm gonna kill him when I get older. But that inner voice we all have sometimes that tell us negative things, whisper negative thoughts in our heads. I listened to that voice. I kept saying to myself, I'm gonna kill him when I get older. He let me go. He went around the corner. I went back upstairs. Asked my mother, was she okay? She said, yeah. She said, did he hurt you? I said, no. She said, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. But I really wasn't okay. That day, I was fearless. That day, I was no longer afraid of the dark. That day, I was no longer afraid of the streets. That day, I was no longer afraid to die. And I grew up. And I hung out with other young teens like myself who had the same problems and the same dilemmas, who lived in single-parent homes with their mothers or with their grandmothers because their mothers was on drugs or their father was in jail doing life. We were all trying to make a way, just trying to find a way in the hood. We had no role models. The streets mentored us. And the streets said, get the money. The streets said, get the hustle. The streets said, shoot dice and make money. The streets said, rob a store or rob a person walking down the street. That's how you become successful. That's how those guys on the corner got those cars and those girls from selling drugs. So get some drugs. Start hustling. You're a G. Make some money. We believed the streets. So we started making money. We started hustling, selling drugs. And started working for us. We started feeling good about ourselves. Making money hand over fist. Hand over fist. So much money that we started buying our own stuff, our own clothes, our own sneakers, our own shoes, getting our own haircuts. Of course, I had to hide it from my mother because she's going to ask me where I get those sneakers from or where I get those clothes from because she knows she didn't buy them. So I was real slick. I was a real quiet dude. I always watched everything that I did. But the streets got so heavy that we started spiraling out of control. And when you start spiraling out of control, you really can't stop yourself. Like the world moves real fast, and you're caught up in it. We became a product of our environment. And pretty soon, we started buying guns and walking around with weapons because people started to notice us. Girls started to notice us. Yeah, we was looking fly, looking nice. But the dudes started to notice us too. They started getting jealous. Then one of the saddest days happened to me. A day we was in the club partying, having fun, hanging out. A guy runs into the club and said, yo, man, your man just got shot. Who? Rod just got shot. Oh, where you at? 19th Street. So we all jumped in the car, 3 cars deep, driving real fast, running through stop signs and red lights, going 60 miles per hour in the city streets. We just thought he was shot. Rolled up to the scene. I seen a cop car out there. I seen his car crash into the Chinese store. My friends jump out. I said, go check on Ra. I go park the car. I get out the car, start walking around the corner. They're walking back with tears in their eyes. What's wrong? What happened? Man, he dead. What? He dead? No, he ain't dead. Couldn't believe it. So I'm walking towards the car. I'm walking towards the car. A cop is standing right there. As I get closer to the car, reality starts to set in. I must be believing it. I get to the front of the window, in the driver's seat, and I look in. I see nothing but blackness. I don't even see him in the car. I blacked out again, second time it happened. I was so angry, frustrated, I just wanted to get the person who did it. So 2 days later, we had the funeral. After the funeral, I sat down with my friends. I had a moment of clarity. I said, what do y'all think I'm going to be in 5 years? One friend said, I don't know. My other friend said, probably in jail. What you think, Will? I said, yeah, probably in jail or dead, either one. We had low expectations of life. And the life we was living, we knew that it could come to an end real fast, and we accepted it. As time went on, we got back into the streets and the hustle again, and we got into more altercations and fights. We got into a shootout with another group of guys. I pulled my gun out. I killed the man, 18 years old. I was arrested, sent to jail, charged with murder in the first degree, attempted murder on a witness, aggravated assault, conspiracy, and possession of an instrument of a crime. They were seeking the death penalty. I was sent to the worst prison in Pennsylvania, Holmesburg Prison. And when you walk through the big doors, 50-foot wall, the inmates screamed, "Welcome to the Terror Dome," because that's what it was, the Terror Dome. Real violent, real wild, real crazy. Nothing but murderers, rapists, extortionists, kidnappers in this prison. And I fit right in. I became a product of that environment. I started getting into fights, participating in the riots. It wasn't slowing down. And the thing was that I would call home eventually, talk to my mother, because the prison was always on the news. And she was always worried about her little boy, the same boy she remembered me as when I was 5 or 6 years old, not knowing how much I changed or how much the streets had changed me. So one day I called home to check on my girlfriend because my girlfriend was 2 weeks pregnant when I got locked up. As time go on, months go by later, I'm still participating in little activities in the jail. I call home again. My sister answered the phone. She said, "Congratulations." I said, "What, she had the baby?" She said, "Yeah, congratulations." I said, "What we got? What we have?" She said, "You had a baby boy." I said, "Man, bring him up here, man. I got to see him. Bring him up here." I'm so excited. I'm so happy. Waiting for this day because I always wanted the boy. I can envision myself walking down the street and walking to the mall with him. When they called me for the visit, I went upstairs, walked in the room. My sister handed me my son. I grabbed him with a big smile on my face, looking at him, checking out his features, making sure he's mine. All right? So I said, wow, I got a son holding him. A very proud moment in my life. I'm looking at him, talking to him, thinking about myself, thinking about him, thinking about his future. The visit was over real quick, half an hour. So I go back to my cell, and I sit down on my bed, and I think, like, I'm a father now. What kind of father I'm going to be to my son if I'm in jail? And I talked to my lawyer, I knew already that I would get some daylight, either 20 to 40 years or 10 to 20 years in prison. And I was hoping for the best. But until then, I knew I had a job to do. Because I wanted to give my son something that I never had, a father and a dad. And I would sit there in my bed and I would think about, how did I become this person, this teenager, who didn't care about nothing, was fearless. I took a self-evaluation test on my own. I thought about my life when I was younger and how I used to be as a kid. Then I found the whys in my questions. How did I become that way? I reflected back on my life, that man putting a gun in my face and other things that happened to me. And I forgave that man. I forgave anybody who hurted me or my family. Then I wanted to redeem myself. I forgave myself for the things I've done. And I knew that the only way I could be successful in making this transition, because I wanted to change. I seen the old men on the block mopping the floors. They're 60 and 70 years old. I was 19. I didn't want that for my life. If I was going to ever get out of jail, I was never coming back. I made a vow. I was convicted in my heart. Not in the courtroom, but in my heart, that I was never coming back to prison again. And I knew I had to educate myself to be a good father because I dropped out of school. So I went back to school in prison, got my GED. Then I started reading all kinds of books and magazines and watching TV shows and listening to speeches and movies and trying to take anything from it. I was going to teach myself. So I read a book one day and it said, "Where there's a will, there's a way." I said, wow, that's me. I'm taking that. So anytime I ran into a difficulty or a challenge, I said to myself, where there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to find a way to get out of this. And then I heard a speech, and the man said in the speech, "A man who fails to plan is a man who plans to fail." I said, wow, that's deep. I'm taking that, so I'm going to start planning my life every day when I'm in jail. So every morning I wake up, I plan my day. I did a self-evaluation every year to see how much I've grown, how much I've changed. Then I watched the Bruce Willis movie, and Bruce Willis was acting all crazy. And the terrorist told Bruce Willis, he said, "You're acting off emotions without using the benefit of your intellect." I said, wow, that's heavy. That was me. I was acting off emotions on the streets and not using the benefit of my intellect because I wouldn't even talk to nobody. If I was angry, I was just angry. I didn't want nobody to say anything to me. I didn't want you to talk me out of anything I wanted to do. But now I learned how to use my intelligence instead of my emotions. I started getting better at it in prison. I turned the state penitentiary into my Penn State. I made it my college. So I read and I studied. And I read different books, and I just picked up any good vibes from anything or any good message from anything I watched or seen. And I started growing as a person. And I started mentoring other young inmates in prison. Before you know it, they was all listening to me and following me. And the wardens in the jail wanted me to squash some of the beefs that's going on in the prison, because I was able to talk to the young brothers and cool them down as I grew older. And then I was faced with the reality of leaving. My 10 years was up. I was afraid a little bit because I'd never been in jail before and I'd never been on parole before. I'd never been in this situation. So I said to myself, where there's a will, there's a way. Again, reiterating that word. I left the mountains, I looked back for one time, seen the prison, said I ain't never coming back again. I don't know how, but I'm never coming back again. So every day I just planned my life when I came home. Even though I couldn't get a job because I was a felon, convicted of a murder, I knew I had resources, not from the city, within me. I knew I was creative. I knew I was a quick learner. I knew I had good qualities and stuff that I had. So I used that to help navigate my way through life. And I knew the only thing that kept me straight is my conviction, my determination to change for myself, for my son, and for all the other young men and women in the community who needed that direct guidance, who was caught up in the same web I was caught up in. I started mentoring, I started teaching. I served over 500,000 kids from Philadelphia to Philadelphia to California. And I probably served over 2,000 adult men and women, speaking to them, teaching them, helping them navigate their way through life and trials and tribulations. The biggest problem that we have is that we need redemption. We need forgiveness in order to reach peace in ourselves, because a lot of us are at war with ourselves. We don't realize it. So I started teaching that method. I want y'all to repeat after me. What you think is what you say. What you say is what you do. What you do becomes habit. What becomes habit becomes your character. And your character determines your future. We need change. And I ain't talking about pennies, nickels, quarters, dimes. I'm talking about changing hearts, changing minds, changing the name sound on these dotted lines, because I swear we have a problem here. Neighborhoods full of fear, witness stands filled with empty chairs, schools unprepared, so it's best that we prepare to work together as one. With the police commissioner, TEDx talks, and the mayor. See, it's a new day, new year, with new ideas to share and talk about amongst us. So we can put the blindfold back over the eyes of Lady Justice, so she can't see race, wealth, or status. I mean, we're living in utter madness because the thugs got better apparatus than the police. And I ain't got to search Iraq and Iran to find weapons of mass destruction, because I can find them right here in these American streets. And it gets deep. If you stare down the walls of City Hall long enough, you might see William Penn weep, because this was not what the country was built for. And the Quakers didn't build the first penitentiary to become a revolving door. Then there's more. We need better programs for ex-offenders to become productive citizens. They can't get a job at your job or his job, then we need to help them create their own small businesses. This is what the business is, creating safer cities, better communities, and better town watch in our communities, so we can first police ourselves, reach ourselves, and teach ourselves that we don't have to live in vain or die in shame, because this is all about change. So here's a penny for your thoughts, a nickel for a kiss, a dime if you tell us that you love us. America, do you have at least 16 cents to spare? Thank you.